Electronic Waste Producer Responsibility Organization of Kenya, also known as EPROK, is a membership organization that is coming in to support its members manage the post-consumer e-waste. So through the Kenya Association of Manufacturers, that is KM, Global Lighting Association, and also the Kenya Renewable Energy Association of Kenya, that is KEREA, came together to help register EPROK to support their members manage the post-consumer e-waste. So this was as a result of the National Sustainable Waste Management Act of 2022 and also Section 30 that is now coming in to bring circularity into the waste management, particularly looking at extending that responsibility to producers. So who are producers? Producer is anybody who manufactures, those who import products and place them on the Kenyan market. So EPROK is here to implement the Section 13 of the Sustainable Waste Management Act on behalf of its members. So here we are coming to establish a take-back scheme or system to ensure that e-waste is collected and treated so that it does not end up into the environment and also the landfills. So we are working closely with ministries, we are working closely with NEMA and also other stakeholders who are here to support us in achieving the goal. My key takeaway for this session was we really need to have collaborations in whatever we are doing, particularly looking at from the collection of this waste all the way to recycling. And then when we are focusing on the pyramid, first of all, we need to focus on prevention. And then two, we also need to look at the marketplace. What are the opportunities that are there in the marketplace so that whenever maybe your gadget is spoiled, you are able to take it for repairing. So that there's that bit of also job creation and also that bit of circularity and sustainability. And so I think one thing that we really need to do is to really shift and change our focus and also innovate our thinking so that as we try and as we have this conversation on e-waste management, we are able to close the loop as well as support all the stakeholders in implementing this.
My key take home today is that e-waste is quite hazardous and its management is still very low because of the awareness that is regarding the e-waste area as a waste stream. So we want to encourage that most of all our producers who are doing e-waste, examples of Safaricom and any other actor like Daylight and Solar, we need to create more awareness to the public on the hazardous effect of e-waste, as well as create an incentive that will ensure that we can bring back all the e-waste from the environment into a recycling.
As SOS Children's Villages in Kenya, one of our programs is ICT4D, that's ICT for Development. So under ICT4D, we have iHubs, and in the iHubs, we have noticed that once we receive laptops, any electronic devices that we use them for a specific period of time, and then we need to dispose. So our participation in this conversation is to, one, get to understand how we can play a critical role in ensuring that e-waste is recycled appropriately, and then in the society and in the communities that we serve, what can we do to ensure that we are taking the agenda of e-waste recycling forward in the right way.
In this developing world of technology, we know that waste is something, it's inevitable. It's a must that it be produced. As long as we have to create a circular system around it to make sure that the waste that we generate from the products that are used are well managed and handled. As my first event, it's very insightful. It has been very engaging. Yeah. And as part of promoting this event, I made sure that I brought them some wastes, and yeah, I was the lucky winner. Yeah.
What I'm taking home today is no room for competitors, but the room left is for collaborators going forward to make the environment clean, for sustainability and the traceability of data in waste management. So my take home today is I will need to improve in terms of policy, probably to have conversation with the authority in Kenya, see that we have the driving policies home. For example, when you talk about the hazardous waste, part of triple cleansing is being left out, not recognized in Kenya because of standards, safety standards in Kenya. So we are looking forward to have that conversation with the government of Kenya as well as other players in waste management. Otherwise, today we have a drive. We had a drive here at Strathmore University. We are asking for e-waste. Don't keep it at home. It has a bit of hazardous emissions, radioactive. So if your phone is come on expiry, don't take it home for your grandmother, for your young brother. It's hazardous, and it's good to. We have collection centers set up, and for example, we have one now at Strathmore University, where when you have an e-waste which need to be dumped, don't just dump. We are supposed to collect it from here.
I really enjoyed the event because it was quite informative for me. I don't think I was aware of the dangers that e-waste can cause to the environment. It's also made me aware of how e-waste is meant to be taken with a bit of seriousness because of the effects it can have to the environment, and how its waste management is a bit costly, but with efforts it can also be done well. I like the form of the awareness that the event gave to everyone, and I hope that it will give many people good awareness.
This is my first interaction with e-waste, and I'm glad that we've gotten awareness of what e-waste is. And with this emerging technologies, this is a conversation that should be had. I have seen and I have heard the impact it could have in our environment, and it's very important that we take caution and create awareness on e-waste.
I'm a business development services provider. We're actually working with TranBiz in a collection of e-waste. So today was a good day for us. At least we were able to get people collecting a lot of e-waste. So the only thing that we need to bring into place, maybe the government can bring in some good laws to encourage people to bring in e-waste, to collect some e-waste. It's good to have our youth are basically aware that e-waste is supposed to be collected, but the problem is they don't know where actually they're supposed to take them to. So maybe if we have laws that can be put in place to bring in youths being aware of where to bring the e-waste, then that can be ideal. Otherwise, the event was successful, and we're looking forward to more opportunities of the same nature. Thank you so much.
Electronic Waste Producer Responsibility Organization of Kenya, also known as EPROK, is a membership organization that is coming to support its members manage the post-consumer e-waste. So through the Kenya Association of Manufacturers, that is KM, Global Lighting Association, and also the Kenya Renewable Energy Association, Kenya, that is KEREA, came together to help register EPROK to support their members manage the post-consumer waste. So this was as a result of the National Sustainable Waste Management Act of 2022 and also Section 30 that is now coming in to bring circularity into the waste management, particularly looking at extending that responsibility to producers. So who are producers? Producer is anybody who manufactures, those who import products and place them on the market. So EPROK is here to implement the Section 13 of the Sustainable Waste Management Act on behalf of its members. So here we are coming to establish a take-back scheme or system to ensure that e-waste is collected and treated so that it does not end up into the environment and also the landfills. So we are working closely with ministries, we are working closely with NEMA and also other stakeholders who are here to support us in achieving the goal. My key takeaway for this session was we really need to have collaborations in whatever we are doing, particularly looking at from the collection of this waste all the way to recycling. And then when we are focusing on the pyramid, first of all, we need to focus on prevention. And then two, we also need to look at the marketplace. What are the opportunities that are there in the marketplace so that whenever maybe your gadget is spoiled, you are able to take it for repairing. So that there's that bit of also education and also that bit of circularity and sustainability. And so I think one thing that we really need to do is to really shift and change our focus and also innovate our thinking so that as we try and as we have this conversation on e-waste management, we are able to close the loop as well as support all the stakeholders in implementing this.
My key take home today is that e-waste is quite hazardous and its management is still very low because of the awareness that is regarding the e-waste area as a waste stream. So we want to encourage that most of all our producers who are doing e-waste, examples of Safaricom and any other actor like Daylight and Solar, we need to create more awareness to the public on the hazardous effect of e-waste, as well as create an incentive that will ensure that we can bring back all the e-waste from the environment into a recycling.
As SOS Children's Villages in Kenya, one of our programs is ICT for D, that's ICT for Development. So ICT for D, we have iHubs, and in the iHubs we have noticed that once we receive laptops, any electronic devices that we use them for a specific period of time, and then we need to dispose. So our participation in this conversation is to, one, understand how we can play a critical role in ensuring that e-waste is recycled appropriately, and then in the society and in the communities that we serve, what can we do to ensure that we are taking the agenda of e-waste recycling forward in the right way.
In this developing world of technology, we know that waste is something, it's inevitable. It's a must that it be produced. As long as we have to create a circular system around it to make sure that the waste that we generate from the products that are used are well managed and handled. As my first event, it's very insightful. It has been very engaging. Yeah. And as part of promoting this event, I made sure that I brought them some wastes, and yeah, I was the lucky winner.
What I'm taking home today is no room for competitors, but the room left is for collaborators going forward to make the environment clean, for sustainability and the traceability of data in waste management. So my take home today is I will need to improve in terms of policy, probably to have conversation with the authority in Kenya, see that we have the driving policies home. For example, when you talk about the hazardous waste, part of triple cleansing is being left out, not recognized in Kenya because of standards, safety standards in Kenya. So we are looking forward to have that conversation with the government of Kenya as well as other players in waste management. Otherwise, today we have a drive. We had a drive here at Strathmore University. We are asking for e-waste. Don't keep it at home. It has a bit of hazardous emissions, radioactive. So if your phone is come on expiry, don't take it home for your grandmother, for your young brother. It's hazardous, and it's good to. We have collection centers set up, and for example, we have one now at Strathmore University, where when you have an e-waste which need to be dump, don't just dump, we are supposed to collect it from here.
I really enjoyed the event because it was quite informative for me. I don't think I was aware of the dangers that e-waste can cause to the environment. It's also made me aware of how e-waste is meant to be taken with a bit of seriousness because of the effects it can have to the environment, and how its waste management is a bit costly, but with efforts it can also be done well. I like the form of the awareness that the event gave to everyone, and I hope that it will give many people good awareness.
Yeah, good morning. I trust we are all well. And here today, we are having this webinar in collaboration with EPROK. EPROK is Electronic Waste Responsibility Organization of Kenya, a PRO supporting members manage their post-consumer. We also have NEMA. NEMA is the National Environmental Management Authority, who are the enforcers of the regulations that we are going to be talking about or discussing on today. Also, we have KenTrade, who will also be taking us through on how to register on their system. So on behalf of electronic, also on board, we have our partners, EMAK, so E-Mobility Association of Kenya, and actually this webinar is actually geared towards ensuring that Members who fall under e-mobility sector, one, they are sensitized and are made aware in terms of what are the obligations in regards to these particular regulations that currently are being enforced. So on behalf of Electronic Waste Producer Responsibility Organization of Kenya, I'm honored to welcome you to this vital sensitization webinar, and I would like to extend my sincere gratitude to our partners at the Electric Mobility Association of Kenya, EMAK, for collaborating with us on this session. So as the Kenya e-mobility sector grows, our responsibility towards the life cycle of these technologies also grow with it. So today we are here to bridge that gap between innovation and also sustainability. So we understand that already we have an act, that is the Sustainable Waste Management Act of 2022, and the subsequent, the EPR Regulations of 2024, which have fundamentally changed how we operate today in regards to whatever we are putting on the market. So no longer is a producer responsibility finished at the point of sale, but we are looking at it at the point of end of life. So for the e-mobility sector, this means we must look ahead at the entire life cycle of our product, most importantly, the batteries and also the electronic components that come with our products. So as EPROK, we are here to ensure that this transition is not just green in motion, but green in its final disposal and recycling through urban and also circular economy principles. So our goal today here is very simple, to ensure that one, we as members are sensitized on what do these regulations require of us, and what are these regulations coming to achieve, and also looking at what are some of your obligations in regards to this particular regulation. Also, KenTrade will be taking us through on how we onboard, how to onboard on their system to ensure that our businesses continue to operate. So before we dive into the technical session, I want to encourage that every member to fully engage, and your feedback as well will help us refine whatever these regulations are put in place, and also looking at one, assisted compliance and ensuring that everybody is not left behind, but we are moving together for a sustainable country. So it is my pleasure to officially open this sensitization webinar. And also I now invite EMAK, who are also present in this webinar, to also give their remark. And also from there, we'll now proceed to, we'll also proceed to NEMA, who will now be able to just take us through the whole regulation and what, that is the EPR regulation, and what are our obligations as members. And then after that, we'll hear from, that is KenTrade, on how to go about that. So once we finalize, we'll go to a Q&A session. That is where now we'll be able to ask questions, and now from those questions, we'll now proceed and get some answers, and also see what's the way forward. So thank you so much. At this point, I welcome EMAK. Elijah, if you're on the call, kindly, the floor is yours, and kindly proceed and also give your remarks. Thank you.
Good morning. My mic had been disabled, so that's why I wasn't able to speak at earlier. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. Please proceed. We can hear you. Thank you.
Okay, good. Thank you. So, as mentioned, my name is Elijah Dur. I represent the coordination at EMAK, and I'm pleased to be here. And we thank the EMAK members who made time to be present so that they can be made aware of their responsibility when it comes to the EPR regulations. All of them are keen to know what exactly is required of them and how they can be able to actually fulfill those requirements. And so the members are ready to listen and take notes, and in case there are any questions, I'm sure they'll be ready to ask. Thank you so much to EPROK and NEMA for making this session possible and for helping us be able to align to the regulations that are required in order for our members to actually bring their products into the country in a smooth and aligned way. Thank you. That's all I got to say.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Elijah. Thank you so much. At this moment, I'll allow me to now welcome NEMA, who are also here with us. So, Aisha, I'm sure you're on the call. So kindly, the floor is yours. You can introduce yourself and then proceed to do the presentation. Thank you.
Thank you, John. Good morning, everyone. My name is Aisha Duba. I'm from the EPR division at NEMA. I am going to take you through a presentation on the EPR regulation. Can you see my screen?
Yes, Aisha, we can see your screen.
Okay. So I am going to take you through a presentation. I'm going to do a brief presentation on the EPR regulation. And to begin with, the extended producer responsibility regulation is an environmental policy approach that holds producers who are manufacturers, importers, distributors, converters, refillers, fillers, repackaging, brand owners, and so on and so forth. So this regulation holds these producers responsible for the entire life cycle of their products, including post-consumer waste management. Under this regulation, producers are required to take responsibility for collecting, recycling, and safe disposal of their products at the end of their useful life. The regulation also targets products that contribute heavily to waste and pollution. Thus, the regulation aims to significantly improve waste management systems in the country. Here we have the legal basis of this regulation. So the EPR regulations are anchored on the Sustainable Waste Management Act of 2022, specifically Section 13.1, which mandates all producers to bear extended producer responsibility, and 13.2, which allows producers to bear the responsibility individually or collectively. A producer is defined in the Sustainable Waste Management Act of 2022 as an entity or an individual that introduces goods, that is products and packaging into the country through manufacturing, importing, converting, refilling, filling, repackaging, and so on and so forth. We have general penalties as in the Act and also appeals as per the Act. I'm going to take you through
Aisha, if you're speaking, we've lost you, kindly.
Oh, sorry. Can you hear me now?
Yes, please proceed. You can start over the EPR background.
From the background. Okay.
That's good.
So here we have a background on how we got to gazette the EPR regulations of 2024. This dates back all the way to 2007 when we had an attempted ban on plastic bags, which did not see the light of day. And we also had another attempt in 2010, which did not also go through. And eventually in 2017, on August of 2017, single-use plastic bags were banned in the country. So through the ban, NEMA started issuing clearances for plastic intended for primary industrial use, specifically for products that had no alternative packaging after the ban. And after the ban on plastic bags, we also had a problem with PET. And in 2018, through a framework of cooperation between the Ministry of Environment, NEMA, and the private sector, PETCO was formed to manage PET waste that comes from that is PET waste. And PETCO later changed to PACPRO, where they increased their scope. So this was the first voluntary EPR scheme that came up during that time. And next we had in 2020, KEPRO was formed through negotiated compliance between NEMA and the bakery sector. And KEPRO was formed to manage resultant waste from the bakery sector. So from the ban on plastic bags and up to 2020, we had 2 voluntary EPR schemes. And these schemes were given a condition that, they should have a take-back system for plastic that had no alternative, for products that had no alternative packaging. And that is where actually EPR comes from now, originally, now having the take-back scheme for the waste, resultant plastic waste from the bakery sector. So these voluntary schemes were facing numerous challenges due to the absence of a legal framework mandating the establishment. And in order to address that, the government came up with the National Sustainable Waste Management policy in 2021 to try and address that, which was later reinforced by the Sustainable Waste Management Act of 2022, which domesticated the provisions of the policy of 2021. And later in 2024, on the 4th of November, 2024, the EPR regulation was gazetted from section 13(1) and 2 of the Sustainable Waste Management Act of 2022. So this is how we came about to have and gazette the Extended Producer Responsibility Regulation. Next, we have objectives of the EPR regulations. So the object and purpose of these regulations are: 1, to mandate it mandates producers to manage the life cycle of their products and packaging, including post-consumer waste. 2, it provides a framework for the establishment and operation of mandatory EPR schemes. And 3, it operationalizes the polluter pays principle, which is an environmental principle that holds polluters responsible for cleaning the composition of the pollution they have caused to the environment. Next, we have the application of this regulation. So this regulation applies to products that are listed in the first schedule, and these are products that negatively impact the environment, human and animal health. These are products that pose challenge in reuse, recycle, and recovery, and they're also products that have high management cost at the post-consumer stage. It also applies to producers of products in the first schedule, who are importers, manufacturers, refillers, repackagers, brand owners, and so on and so forth. And the regulation also applies to extended producer responsibility schemes, which are individual EPR scheme and collective EPR schemes. So these are the products that are set out in the first schedule. And number 1, we have packaging for non-hazardous products. 2, hazardous products packaging. Number 3, we have electrical and electronic equipments. 4, we have motor vehicles, automobiles, aircrafts, and locomotives. And number 5, we have non-packaging items. I would like to mention that we have currently onboarded the EPR import requirements for category 3, 4, and 5 on the KenTrade system. And importers are required to apply through the KenTrade system. So these are importers for products that are in category 3, 4, and 5. They can go to the KenTrade system and apply for the EPR import certificate, which is a requirement for the approval of the import declaration form. And for category 1 and 2, we have not yet onboarded that on the KenTrade system, and we are receiving applications through the eCitizen platform. So for category 1 and 2, if your product falls on category 1 and 2, you can apply for the EPR import certificate through eCitizen. And for category 3, 4, and 5, the application for the EPR import certificate is done through the KenTrade's National Electronic Single Window System. So next we have obligations of a producer according to regulation 5 of this regulation. And we have 10 obligations of a producer in this regulation. And number 1 is that a producer is obligated to register with NEMA. Number 2, a producer is required to establish a take-back scheme, and then set up and register an individual EPR scheme or join a collective extended producer responsibility compliance scheme, which is a producer responsibility organization. Next, they're required to provide NEMA with reports of the status of the implementation of the obligations. Next, they are required to design products and packaging materials that minimize waste, facilitate reuse, recycling, recovery, and use of secondary raw materials where possible, and are environmentally friendly at the end of their useful life. Next, we have the producers are required to take financial, organizational, and physical responsibility for the management of their post-consumer products, and financial through contribution to the EPR skills, contribution of the EPR fees, physical by making arrangements on how the materials will be collected and recycled, and organizational through the EPR schemes. Number 8, we have provide consumers with information and raise awareness on management of post-consumer products. Next, the producers are required to carry out product life cycle assessment in relation to their products for enhancing environmental sustainability. And finally, they're required to put in place circular economy initiatives and any other measures to reduce impact of their products on health and environment. So these are the 10 obligations of a producer in this regulation. And now next we have execution of these 10 obligations. Producers can execute the above mentioned obligations individually for sole producers or collectively through producer responsibility organizations. So for producers who decide to execute the obligations collectively through a PRO, they will have 3 more obligations according to Regulation 17. And the three more obligations are as follows. Number 1 is to undertake market development for the secondary raw material market of the products under their scope. 2, establish research and development programs with registered research institutions on emerging technologies to improve material recovery, removal of pollutants, and effective system for handling post-consumer products. Number 3, execute any other obligation set by NEMA for the purpose of ensuring compliance with this regulation. Here we have establishment of a collective EPR scheme, which is a member-based organization, and is also a company that is limited by guarantee. And producers of similar products and products of similar uses or products with similar resultant waste can come together and execute the EPR obligations collectively. Then now we have EPROK EPROK, which is handling electronic waste, and the HAPROK, which is handling hazardous waste. So these producers of either similar products, products of similar uses, or products with similar resultant waste can come together and execute the obligations collectively in a PRO. And a PRO executes the producer's obligation, ensuring producers' compliance with EPR regulations. So, yeah, once a producer decides to execute their obligations collectively through a PRO, the PRO will execute the obligations, ensuring producers' compliance with the EPR regulations. They also help producers in collecting, recycling, and end-of-life disposal without producers establishing their waste management systems. And PROs facilitate producers' benefits on economies of scale in regards to collection and recycling, which would otherwise be very costly. Next, we have registration and licensing. So the first step in complying with this that are required to register with NEMA, where they will be issued with producer registration certificate, and this registration is done through the eCitizen platform. And this producer registration certificate is a one-off certificate. Once you are given this certificate, you don't need to apply for it again. And importers who are also producers, after they have registered as producers, they're required to apply for the EPR import certificate every time they are importing goods into the product. So this EPR import certificate is issued per consignment. Next, we have registration of EPR schemes. So these are individual EPR schemes or PROs. So registration of these schemes are 4 years renewable. The schemes have to be registered by NEMA, and they will be renewable every 4 years. Next, we have licensing, and even though the schemes are registered every 4 years, they're issued with annual licenses by NEMA every year. So the schemes have to apply for EPR annual licenses every year from NEMA. So here is just a guide on what's where in the regulation this is to guide you on when you go through the regulation. And for importers, so the requirements for importers, importer registration and application for EPR import certificates are on Regulation 6 and 7. And for the registration of producers in the regulation is on Regulation 8, which I have just mentioned is a one-off registration where the producer has to pay 5,000 Kenya shillings. And next we have EPR schemes. So the requirements for the EPR schemes are on Regulation 10 for individual schemes and Regulation 11 for collective schemes. I am going to skip this because to skip the import requirements because I believe someone from KenTrade will be here to take you through that. So I can just briefly say something on this producer regulation. Our producer registration requirement, which I have just mentioned, is on the eCitizen platform. The producer is required to fill out application form C, attach registration certificate issued by the Registrar of Companies, and then the producer is required to provide documents indicating the goods, products, and packaging introduced into the country and proof of payment of requisite fee as per the 3rd schedule. And next, NEMA approves and issues the producer registration certificate. So here, let's move to the requirements for the registration of EPR schemes. And here we're going to start with the individual schemes according to Regulation 10 of the EPR regulation. And number 1, the individual requirements for the registration of individual schemes. We have the declaration that the applicant is the producer of the product in the country, certificate of conformity issued by the relevant authority in respect of the products produced by the producer, registration certificate from the Registrar of Companies, producers' EPR plan, and agreements entered into with approved waste service providers, and proof of payment of the requisite fees. And on NEMA side, to process the application, NEMA will review the application within 14 days of receipt of an application, and NEMA will either approve the application, request for further particulars, or reject the application. NEMA will communicate the decision within 7 days of making the decision. Next, we have requirements for the registration of a collective EPR scheme. Now, this is the PRO. So number one, we have proof of registration by the Registrar of Companies under the Companies Act, a certified copy of the most recent register of the members of the EPR organization, copies of EPR registration certificate issued to each member of the EPR of the PRO, a certified copy of agreements with the approved waste service providers, a copy of the EPR fee structure agreed upon among members of the EPR of the PRO, a list of the directors of the company issued by the Registrar of Companies, PIN certificate issued by KRA, a lease agreement or proof of ownership of the facility of operation, EPR plan and budget or financial plan for the EPR scheme. And finally, we have signed minutes of the meeting adopting the updated EPR plan signed by representatives of the product within the category. Next, we have an organogram for the producer responsibility organization, work plan and budget for the coming year, a certified copy of annual audited financial accounts. This is for in case of renewal. A copy of a dispute resolution mechanism for the members participating in the PRO, a copy of the memorandum of association of the company declaring that the sole business of the company is to undertake extended producer responsibility obligations on behalf of the producers, and proof of payment of the relevant fees. So these are the requirements of for registration of an EPR scheme, a collective EPR scheme. As I have mentioned before, for the requirements of the individual and the collective schemes, one of the requirements is an EPR plan. And here we have the contents of an EPR plan. So an EPR plan should have a baseline of products and packaging handles, plan for safe handling, processing, and disposal of 100% equivalent volume of products declared by the producer, plan to meet national targets for reuse, recycling, or recovery operations and end-of-life management, plan for continuous additionality in material recovery and recycling, including circularity, a collection, logistics, recycling, and composting system, and end-of-life disposal mechanism, modulation of EPR membership fees and parameters based on environmental sustainability criteria, a program on public awareness on consumer education and information on waste segregation and proper handling of post-consumer products, a verifiable paid-up membership list, a list of service providers and actors in the scheme, an eco-design standard operating procedure for the products handled by the scheme, a mechanism of controlling banned or dangerous substances in the products handled by the scheme, an annual reporting mechanism, a plan or projection on training and capacity building of members and actors in the scheme, a schedule on monitoring of members' product traceability systems, inspection and compliance with this regulation, a model of financing the scheme integrating financial flows to the entire value chain actors, and any other action necessary for execution of responsibility requested by NEMA. So next we have EPR fee modulation. So EPR fees to be paid by members of a PRO will be calculated guided by the following parameters. So number one, quantity of products introduced to the market, existence of mechanism of segregation of products at source, recyclability and recoverability of the products, existence of market for use of producers' secondary raw materials, absence or presence of hazardous or non-hazardous but disruptive additives, products with or without defined environmental footprints and fulfillment of the extended producer responsibility obligations. So next we have offenses and penalties. An individual EPR compliance scheme or a PRO that willfully fails to undertake any obligation under these regulations commits an offense. Upon conviction under Sub-Regulation 1, the court shall order the individual EPR compliance scheme or PRO to bear the cost of management of the said obligation. Next, the next offense is a person who introduces in the market a product on behalf of a producer who is not listed in the register published by NEMA as per the Act commits an offense. So this applies to retailers. Retailers are not allowed to restock from suppliers who are not registered with NEMA. Next, we have a producer or a PRO commits an offense when they give misleading or false information on quantities held or managed under the EPR scheme. And finally, a producer who is not a member of a related PRO, a free rider, and does not fulfill the individual obligation commits an offense. For penalties, a person who commits an offense under this regulation for which no penalty has been provided shall, on conviction, be liable to the penalty provided under Section 32 of the Sustainable Waste Management Act, which is a fine that is not less than 2 million and not more than 4 million, or imprisonment for a term not extending 4 years, or both in some cases. So next we have rights and responsibilities. So any person or an entity aggrieved by the decision of NEMA under this regulation may, pursuant to Section 31 of the Act, appeal to the tribunal. Responsibilities, these are NEMA's responsibilities: education and awareness creation, preparation of EPR implementation guidelines, establishment of EPR data management system, registration of importers, producers, and EPR schemes, processing licenses for the schemes, providing technical support in the formation of EPR compliance schemes, enforcement, monitoring compliance of the EPR schemes, developing reporting formats, and capacity building of actors. That is the end of my presentation.
Yeah, thank you so much, Aisha, for that good presentation on your end. So I'm sure we are supposed to move to the next session, that is with KenTrade, but allow us get some questions and also respond to some of the questions that are already in the chat. Also, members, if you have any question, kindly raise your hand so that we are able to unmute and you ask your question.
I am seeing a question on the 150 shillings per item, and I would like to clarify that.
Okay, Aisha, the question is, when they're doing the importation, it's on the KenTrade system is able to identify the HS codes. Yeah, so that HS code normally comes per unit. So is the 150 payable on per unit? I think that's the clarification or the question Caroline So is asking.
So we have onboarded the EPR import requirements for category 3, 4, and 5 on the KenTrade system. And in conjunction with KRA, the HS codes for the products that fall on those 3 categories have been onboarded on the KenTrade system. And when you are applying for an IDF, it triggers the requirement of the EPR import certificates, and you have to apply for the EPR import certificate through the KenTrade system so that you can proceed for your IDF to be approved. And I think Joseph from KenTrade would explain the application process, and you will understand better. So can we wait for Joseph to take us through the application process on the importer's end? And I think that would really clarify a lot of things on that. And the charge for the 150 shillings for category 3, 4, and 5, you apply for the EPR import certificate through the single window system. But for category 1 and 2, which we have not yet onboarded on the single window, the applications are done through the eCitizen platform. And the 150 shillings for category 3 and 4, which is for electronics and automobiles, 150 shillings is charged per item, and per item here we mean the standalone unit. So one motor vehicle is 150 shillings, one desktop is 150 shillings for electronics, and so on and so forth. But for category 1, 2, and 5, 150 shillings is charged by standard packaging, and by that we mean the secondary packaging. So your products come in primary packaging and secondary packaging. So 150 shillings it is charged per the secondary packaging of your products. Thank you. I think Joseph, Ayara, if Joseph can take us through the application process on the KenTrade system, and then we can move to the questions afterwards.
Yeah, that is noted. I'm seeing a couple of questions streaming in. And so at this point, we will address, I'm sure all the questions will be addressed during the webinar. And at this time, I don't know if Joseph is on the call. Joseph, kindly if you're in the call, just confirming if he's able to come in. Joseph, kindly confirm if you can hear us.
Can hear you. Are you able to hear me?
Yes, we can hear you, Joseph. Kindly introduce yourself, and then you can proceed and present and take us through how to onboard on the KenTrade system, as well as later we will get to answer the questions that have been asked. So thank you so much, Joseph. You are free to proceed.
Okay, thank you. Before I share my screen, allow me to share an image of myself. I'm Joseph Mokite, I'm from KenTrade Network Agency. And my humble pleasure
Joseph, you're not audible.
Share knowledge regards to KenTrade system.
Hi, Joseph. We cannot hear you, so kindly, do you mind adjusting your mouthpiece closer?
Okay, is my visible? Am I audible, sorry?
Fantastic, thank you. Thank you, Joseph.
Yes, just to introduce myself, my name is Joseph Mokite. I'm an officer from the KenTrade Network Agency. It's my humble pleasure to take you through the KenTrade system so that you can understand how EPR has been implemented at the import-export point. So kindly allow me to now mute my video so that I can share my screen for support on the KenTrade system and how it's going to work during this process, EPR implementation.
So Joseph is sharing the screen shortly for the purpose of those who've joined us right now. Don't wonder why the webinar is silent. So it will take a little time and then we'll be proceeding. So we are still on board and we are aligned.
Yeah, hello meeting, kindly bear with me. I'm just opening my presentation. It's taking a bit of some time, but I'm sorting that in a minute. Hello, John. It's refusing to share on the screen because it's saying only meeting organizers and presenters can share. Would you kindly adjust your settings so that I can share?
Yes, a presenter. You are a presenter on our end, but let's check. Sorry for that. Kindly try again, Joseph, and see if it's possible. Meanwhile, there is a question on the Q&A about is EPROK membership mandatory? So as per the regulations, there are two options. One is either to implement the regulation individually, or number two, join a producer responsibility organization. So as of now, EPROK is supporting members who are in category 3 manage their post-consumer e-waste. So in that regard, if you are within that particular scope or category, it is noble to join a producer responsibility organization that already exists. So in that regard, EPROK becomes your PRO of choice to support you manage your post-consumer e-waste. In the case where you're seeing going that direction is not sustainable for your organization, there's an avenue for you to go individually. But again, looking at it in terms of implementation, it becomes a bit hefty for an organization to go that way. Noting that already there's an existing PRO that is coming to support you. So on that regard, I'll ask, EPROK already exists and we're here to support you. So yes, kindly join EPROK for your compliance. Thank you.
Am I audible? Can you hear me?
Joseph, proceed.
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay. My sincere apologies for that connectivity mishap, but now we can proceed. So, thank you all for making time to be here. My name, as mentioned earlier, is Joseph Mokite. Allow me to take you through the single window system, or rather the system that will allow you to import and export as you are handling your importation and exportation on those items that are regulated or are under the EPR, they fall under EPR. So I'll take a minute or two to just tell you about KenTrade for those who may not be aware. We are just an agency under the National Treasury. We were formed around 2011 by the former President, His Excellency, the late Mwai Kibaki. Our main mandate is just to implement and manage what we call the National Electronic Single Window System, as well as facilitating international trade. So our parent ministry is the National Treasury, and we are, after being created in 2011, that was through a legal notice. We are now working under an act called the National Electronic Single Window Systems Act, which was enacted in 2022. So why KenTrade? Why was KenTrade formed? It's because the pre-KenTrade period, 2011 and before, import and export was manual. You had to visit different agencies manually so that you get your relevant permits and approvals, which was very time consuming, was expensive, it was prone to corruption because you'd have to meet government officers physically. And as you're all aware, the challenges we have in a country of corruption, some would ask for kickback before supporting you. And also documentation of consignments was really poor. Transparency was poor. Interventions were also unlimited. That's what prompted the former president to now implement what we call the National Electronic Single Window System. Now, the single window system is not just something that he came up with. This is a global protocol, an international protocol through the World Trade Organization, through the UN, CFAC Recommendation 3. So all the World Trade Organization through the UN must implement what we call a single window system. So in Africa, member countries that have implemented, Kenya is among the pioneers, amongst other countries like Morocco, Ghana, Senegal, South Africa, Egypt. So other countries are now trying to implement, but Kenya, within the region, within the sub-Saharan region, Kenya was among the first. So what is a single window system? It's just a facility, by this I mean an online facility that allows all the parties involved in international trade to transact. And by transacting, I mean to lodge their documentation for approval by government agencies so that they are able to import or export. So instead of visiting each and every agency physically or dealing with agencies differently in different offices, you now have one online platform where at the comfort of your desk, you're able to undertake your transactions seamlessly. So it brings in all the parties in international trade, and by parties, I mean traders and their agents, now including you, through a system, which is now the single window system, and now to interact with government, including NEMA. As you are all aware, before you import or you export, you need permission, you need permits. And so different agencies regulate different consignments. So in this case, they do that through the single window to allow you as a public to submit your request, and then government will see your request and approve based on various parameters, whether you have paid, you have met some of the requirements and all that. So having said that, since the single window was implemented until to date, we have over 17,000 system users. These are companies in the system that are doing import and export. So within these companies, there are various users. The users are more than 100,000 because one company can have several users. Over 40 partner government agencies. So right now, there are almost around 45. These are all the government agencies that are regulating different consignments that enter or leave the country. We also integrate with government agency systems, or even the private sector systems. We have integrations with all the banks, integrations with insurance companies, with government systems like transacted, but by now, obviously, it's much more. Even the average transactions annually are actually much more. So the key impact of the single window is that it has improved automation in international trade from 14% to 95%. This is through a World Bank study, a World Bank survey that was done in 2021 that noted that automation, import and export processes in Kenya have increased from 14% to 95%. Somebody may ask maybe what about the remaining 5%? Yes, there are more other agencies that we are still trying to onboard. We have now projects with the Kenya Wildlife Service, Kenya Civil Aviation Authority. Those are the agencies that are remaining behind. Once we onboard them, we'll be at 100%. So the image on your screen shows you the average system usage or rather adoption of the system and how permits are being done and how transaction is happening and how trade is happening in the country. As you can see from 2014 all the way to 2022, the trajectory has been positive. Lots of businesses are now using, lots of businessmen, importers and exporters are using the single window system based on the various reasons that I had mentioned earlier. And as you can see, each and every year transactions keep increasing. During the COVID period, there was a slump in 2020 that was due to COVID, but thereafter things picked. So even until today, things are picking quite fast. Usually before election years, there's always a slump, as you're all aware. In our country, sometimes the period before election, things are a bit slow because businessmen probably are just trying to observe what the political scenario will be. So that is the only reason, the only time when at least we are able to see a decline in the number of transactions. For instance, now like 2016, 2021, and then even this year we expect a bit of a slump because next year we have our elections. So that's just one of the major items that affects international trade. But otherwise, year in, year out, trade is increasing and improving. And when this happens, this is also impacting on the average person on the ground. These are jobs, these are businesses, these are opportunities. You know, when there's more import and there's more export, a lot of people are employed, drivers, people who drive trucks, people who work in warehouses, people in the clearing and in the clearing industry, government employees like myself, even yourselves who are some who are members of various organizations, employees of various organizations. It is through international trade that we are able to get these opportunities. So when trade goes down, it also affects us. Some companies will, downsize. We will not have stock for some of our operations. You see now, like the fuel situation that's happening, because that is international trade, because we import fuel. So if international trade is affected also, it can affect operations on the ground. There's no fuel, and that's just an example. So these are not just figures, these are things that are happening in our economy, the reality. So when you see something increasing, it means there's more opportunities for Kenyans. And when you see a slump, it means again, there are areas where Kenyans have suffered. So I will go straight to also statistics. We normally provide statistics to government agencies so that they are able to know how they are doing and they're able to improve their services. So since the single window came in, there's also increased revenue for government agencies. Government agencies have been seeing more and more revenue increasing because even, for instance, this EPR, as I'm going to show you shortly, there has to be revenue paid. So that is more revenue for NEMA and government agencies as well. I think I'll reach there about my presentation, or rather my introduction for about KenTrade, so that you can allow me to now show you in the system how you'll be importing or exporting. If you have questions, please feel free to either type them so that I can respond to them at the end of the session. Meanwhile, allow me kindly to now take you to the system and demonstrate to you how EPR has been implemented and how it is going to affect you. And I'm sure you're just hearing about 150 shillings, but now how does that look like in the system regarding the common items that you have been importing or exporting? I think I'll need to demonstrate that right away so that you are able to understand how the process works and you are able to comply with the same. So I'll start first and foremost with a process flow that just shows you the EPR process. The EPR process in from beginning to the end. Now, I hope my screen is visible. John, can you confirm the same?
I can confirm your screen is visible, Joseph.
Okay, thank you. So let me just take you through an overview of a step-by-step process of EPR implementation. As Asha has mentioned, there is a registration aspect by NEMA, which is undertaken through eCitizen. That's the beginning point. And this is one of, I'm sure most of you already have that registration, where the cost is only 5,000. Once you have done your registration, you also need to access the KenTrade system. And the KenTrade system, to register, it will cost you $50 plus VAT. That comes to around 7,000 to 8,000, thereabout, depending on the dollar rate. This training is meant to train you. This cost is meant for your training. So once you pay that, you'll be given a username and a password to access the TFP system. And you'll also be scheduled for an online training, which happens on Thursdays and Fridays. So kindly note the same so that even as you register, you know that you are entitled to a training on Thursdays and Friday. Thereafter, you will need a clearing agent to submit for you an IDF on KRA system. Now, KRA system, because they only deal with clearing agents, that's why you need one. But that now is the third process of importing. As you are aware, all imports must have an IDF. Customs processes, to import, you begin with custom and you end with customs. So once you have your IDF on the KRA system, you will come on the TFP system. Now, assuming you have been trained, you have your username and password, where you will apply for an EPR certificate, which I will be showing you shortly. Come to the TFP, apply for the EPR certificate. But before you do that, send your KRA PIN to NEMA. NEMA will undertake a process we call PIN opting. This is just to activate you in the system so that you are able to, when you log in, you're able to find your details, so your company PIN that has been allowed to submit a NEMA permit. Once you do that, as you apply for your ELP certificate, you will pay the EPR fees to the certificate, through the system. So, and that is the major objective of this forum, because the key change here is the fees that has been implemented on the various categories that we have begun with. And then thereafter, once you pay, your permit goes to NEMA for review and approval. NEMA will approve. Once NEMA approves, it will trigger what we call an IDF approval. Then thereafter, you'll be allowed to clear your consignment. So the steps it will take you to import. Of EPR fee, of course, they have said it's 150 per item, and the approval timeline is within 2 hours. So let me now go into the TFP system so that we can see how this process flows work. So just give me a moment as I open the system. This will take us only 15 minutes, so kindly bear with me. By 11:30, I will have completed. So it's not really a long, it's not a long session. So I hope my screen is visible again. So
yes, I confirm it's visible.
Thank you. Okay. So as the system opens, remember I had mentioned about you getting a username and a password so that you are able to use the system. And once you do that, once you get your username and password, you will be able to log in. Of course, the first time the system will ask you the system will come with a default password, which you will now change to your own preferred password. And then thereafter you log in. When you log in, this is the portal that you will see, and this is how the portal appears. This is now the trade facilitation platform, or rather the single window system. This system has been linked and integrated with many other systems, all the banks, all the government agency systems, so that you are all your international export or import business you only do on this platform. You don't need to go anywhere else. So now, before we begin, Aisha has mentioned that we have only implemented category 3, 4, and 5. Yes, that is true. Category 1 and 2, NEMA is still handling that through eCitizen, but we are also in the process of onboarding the same. So we are meeting with various stakeholders, NEMA and KRA, to be able to see how we are going to automate that process in the TFP system. And that will have come within 3 months. So again, within 3 months, you'll be given another session now to show you how category 1 and 2 is going to work. Now remember, category 3, 4, and 5 is only for items. Electronics, category 3, category 4, I think, is automobiles, category 5 is non-packaging items. We're just looking at items, number of items, and it is that has been implemented. So at this point in time, on TFP, we have not implemented packaging. I'd like that to be very clear with everyone. We haven't implemented packaging yet. That is coming at a phase 2. That phase 2 is what we are going to implement within the next 3 months. We've begun with phase 1, and then now we can go with phase 2. I know most of you want to understand how packaging is going to work, but kindly note that one has not yet been implemented on TFP. So to begin with, when you get your username and password and you log in, as you get this window, on the left side, you'll see my menus. So these will be your menus. You'll be able to see an application submission tab. This is the one you'll always be using. You'll be able to see as a declaration tab. These are all the IDFs and all the entries you have done on KRA. They'll be found on this tab. There'll be a payment tab. This is the tab that you will be using to pay the EPR fees. And remember, this portal, the TFP portal, is not just for EPR, it's for all permits. Everything you're importing into the country, as long as it requires a permit, you must use the TFP system. And not just for NEMA alone, but for all the 45 government agencies I've mentioned about. There are those consignments that require bonds, like consignments that are on transit. There's also a menu for that. You can apply for a bond here. It has been linked with insurance companies and banks, so you'll go to the bank. If your bond is approved, the bank will approve it. We have a menu for UCR. A UCR is a unique consignment reference. This is one reference number that allows you to track your consignment from beginning to the end and all that is associated with that consignment, so that with one reference, you are able to know what is happening to a particular consignment, because different consignments have different requirements and different processes. We have a tab for exemptions. There are categories of items that are exempted, or other categories of individuals, say like diplomats, like donor agencies. They're given some exemptions, so they usually use that portal to do their payment. We have a payment for KEBS, for those who are doing KEBS permits, can also pay through that. And we have marine cargo insurance. For your cargo that is on the high seas, instead of walking to the bank or to the insurance company to get insurance, you can just sit on the system at the bottom of your desk, at the comfort of your desk, and apply for insurance for that. The others are just, we haven't implemented yet, but when we do, we'll update you. So when you come to the first tab, this is the tab you'll always be using. It's called the application submission tab. When you click on it, you'll find a tab called submit consignment document. That will be the tab you'll always be using to apply for EPR. So click on the submit consignment document tab. Once you do that, the system will open for you a menu. This menu is what you are going to fill in all your details and your consignment details so that it comes to NEMA for approval. So I'll just use an example that I've already used, but basically it appears like that. So I want to take you through how you will be filling in those details so that these details can go to NEMA for approval of your EPR certificate. Now, remember all the items that NEMA has implemented, category 1, 2, and 3 under EPR. They have been implemented through what we call the HS codes. So all those HS codes have been configured by KRA and on the KRA system. So that means you are not able to import those items without a permit, because the KRA system will demand that you do a permit on the KenTrade system before they approve your IDF. So we've begun with around 750 HS codes. Those are different items under category 1, 2, and 3. So also remember, under category 1, 2, and 3, we've not implemented everything. There are some items that are still pending, those ones that are based on packaging. So when you click on submit consignment document, it will open for you this tab. So the beginning point is you have to fill in the details of the owner. Of course, if you log in as yourself, the system will give you the owner details. And then you have to get the OGA code. The OGA code you just choose on the system. This will always be National Environment Management Authority. So it will be NEMA. The document type is a certificate. Always choose on certificate when you click on the drop down. And the document is called Extended Producer Responsibility. So for example, just to take you practically, you'll fill in your details, your company name and your company PIN. On the government agency code, this is a NEMA permit, so select NEMA. On the document type, select certificate. And on the document, select extended producer responsibility. Now this is an import. EPR is only for imports. And then on the reference document type here, you will reference the IDF that your clearing agent has done on KRA. Remember we talked about that process. Your clearing agent began with an IDF on the KRA system. But this is a demo environment. We don't have an IDF here. So we'll just proceed with the demo details, because on the trial environment, it's not possible to get an IDF. So once you have filled in the first page, what we're calling the header tab, you will proceed on the second page. We proceed on the second page, which is called the party tab. So we'll proceed on the party tab. So this is the first page which you have filled. Then when you go to the party tab, these are your details of the importer and the exporter. So you'll fill in your PIN, your KRA PIN, your name. This is your company name, your telephone, and your email. Just basic details for yourself and for the exporter. The exporter is the guy in the other side of the world who has sold it to you to import in Kenya. Thereafter, you will save and proceed to the next tab, which is the transport tab. The government wants to see how you're transporting this consignment. Is it via sea, via air, or via land? Yeah. So most international items, of course, they come through those three items, three avenues, either sea, rail, road, or transport. Select what is appropriate for your consignment, and then put the departure date that is leaving the other port, the other side of the world. Fill in the port of departure, and then also fill in the port of arrival. The system has all these ports, so you just search and select, it will populate for you. Choose your customs office. Here you need to be very careful. If your consignment is coming through Mombasa, please fill Mombasa. If it is coming for ICD, please fill ICD. If it is JKIA, fill JKIA. If it is Eldoret, fill Eldoret. Busia or Malaba, fill the same as well. Because if you fill the wrong station, the officers in that station will not see your consignment, and you may have many challenges clearing that consignment. So once you do that, you will update that information, and you will move to the next item, which is the invoice. It's important to also note the invoice. The government wants to see the value of the consignment. This is important because we need to know the value of items coming to the country. And also remember, you will have to attach the invoice. So fill in the invoice details. This like the invoice number. Is it in cash or which currency? What are the terms? Incoterms. Is it fee FOB, free on board? Is it CIF? You know, all those terms, the transaction terms are there. Fill in the invoice amount. What is the value of that consignment? And is it in USD, in Japan, in Chinese yuan, or whichever currency you are your consignment is, your invoice is in, fill in those details. If there are freight details or insurance details, also fill in as well, because they are part of the invoice. Once you do that, you proceed to the item. Let me select a good example that has many items so that you can see how EPR works. Yes, so you proceed to the items, and the items here you will fill in the items that you are bringing. Now, for example, this company is bringing in 3 items. The first one is women's or girls' blouse shirts, blouses of cotton, knitted or crocheted. These are under EPR. So we are seeing that they are bringing in the women's or girls' blouses. We are seeing that the item quantity is 5,700. And according to them, their invoice is around 17,455. This is in dollars. It looks like it's in dollars. So you fill in the first item. You can see it's coming from China. You fill in the gross weight, the nest weight, the kilograms, the number of packages. So number of packages here is where NEMA is also looking at, because they want you to package in the least amount possible so that it doesn't end up as waste. So once you fill in your item details, you save. And then you fill in the second item, because one consignment can have many items. You can have computers, laptops, you can have phones, clothing, electronics in one consignment. So fill in all those items because the government officers want to see all those items, and also the system will calculate different items separately. So once you do that, you go to the documents. So the documents you have to attach. For EPR, you have to attach. And for EPR, the mandatory attachment is a pro forma invoice. So the other attachments we have relaxed, they are not mandatory, like the COC, the packing list, they're not mandatory, but the pro forma invoice is mandatory. And then fill in the terms and conditions. Is your consignment for commercial, for trading, for manufacturing, for scientific? Fill in all that. And then you'll proceed to the summary tab. Summary tab is what allows you to validate the cost, for you to understand the cost. Now, here is where I want you to be very careful, so that I want to show you how EPR has been implemented. Now, if we go back to our items, we are seeing that the first item, it is 5,700 items. So please note, yes, the first item is 5,700 items. So I want you to know that it will be 5,700 times 150. That is item 1. The second item is 1,300 items. So it will be 1,300 times 150. And the third item is 565 items. So it will be 565 times 150. And when you do a total of that, you will get a total of 1,134,750. So that is how EPR has been implemented. Let me just repeat there, because that's the key thing you need to know. That the number of items times 150. So the first items, this is women's clothing times 150. The second number of items, it is rail locomotive powered from an external source of electricity. It is 1,300 items times 150. The third one is copper mates, cement copper mates. There are 565 items times 150. So here is the key difference I want to demonstrate. This is the major thing on how EPR has been implemented. It is the items times 150 shillings. So remember, there's no packaging here. There's no packaging here. Whether these items are in one package, we are looking at the number of items. That is as per the EPR regulations 3, 4, and 5. So kindly note that, even as now you execute your business, know how it's going to affect you. So having said that, the permit will come to the end of the permit. It will show the final amount. You will submit the permit. And then once you submit the permit, you have to pay for it. You have to pay for it. So you go back to the main tab. Go back to the main tab and go to the payment tab. When you go to the payment tab, search for pending payment. You'll go there to pending payment. And then you will find various permits there that you have not paid for. So click on the one you want to pay for. When you click on it, you will see the details of the payment, whether it's in cash or whether you'll see the VAT amount. You'll see all the details of that permit. And then of that payment, sorry. And then go to the payment tab, which is the third one on the right. Select the payment mode. The payment mode here is eCitizen, government directive. All payments must go to eCitizen. Select the currency, which is Kenya shillings. So once you do that, when you proceed to the eCitizen page, it will bring for you the various modes of payment. So this is a trial version. It doesn't have eCitizen because it's not live. But now when it happens, you will select M-Pesa, for instance. It will bring for you an SDK push on your phone. You can pay via your phone. You'll just have to enter your PIN. Once you do that, the payment goes to eCitizen, and the permit, because we have an integration with eCitizen, the permit becomes updated immediately, and it changes to paid. When it changes to paid, it now goes to NEMA for approval. Once NEMA approves, now your IDF becomes approved and you're able to clear your consignment. If your amount is more than M-Pesa limit, or you don't have that amount on M-Pesa, if it's a huge amount you're paying, like you've seen this permit, they're going to pay almost $1 million, more than $1 million, sorry. They will choose any bank on the system. So instead of M-Pesa, they'll choose like KCB or Equity or Cooperative. And then they'll generate what we call a payment instruction. It's just a slip that has your payment details and the amount. They go with it to the bank. So they pay to the bank in cash. The bank has also integrated with TFP and eCitizen. So your payment, once you credit the amount in the account, they give you a receipt. The system updates your permit to payment. So ladies and gentlemen, that is how you apply for a permit on the single window system. That is how you pay for it. And I have also demonstrated to you how the payment works. It is based on the number of items times 150. And having reached there, I would like to say thank you for your time. And now I can hand over back the program to KEPRO. Thank you.
Thank you, Joseph. EPROK, in that regard, I understand that was a slip of the tongue. And thank you for that presentation on how to onboard or how to register on the KenTrade system. So at this point, I'm seeing we have two hands. So I'll go directly to unmute them so that they're able to ask the question on their end. And then we will proceed that way because we don't have much time. So, Mr. I've allowed your mic. Kindly proceed. Jeremiah Ngare, Director
yes,
Jeremiah.
Yes, thank you for the opportunity. My question relates to what you've defined as qualifying for the 150 shillings, because the earlier understanding was it had been defined by package, and now you've emphasized that it is item. And I was just wondering, because I think this was discussed quite at length before agreeing on what the unit definition is to be the package. If I import, for example, hypothetical, I import needles. This is a kushona, the eye of the needle, the needles. And my package has 1,000. Okay, how much do you buy a needle for in the shop? Maybe let's say for 10 shillings. So are you telling me that now the price of a needle will go to 160 shillings because we will have the seller will have to put in 150 per unit?
Oh, so allow me to respond to that.
I think this had been quite exhaustively discussed with
Allow me to respond.
And it had been agreed that it's
allow me to
the package. Yes, please.
Allow me to respond to that. Now, those items that are of low value and they are imported in numerous quantities. I think NEMA has also been sensitive. They have looked at those items, and as I've mentioned earlier, they have not implemented all the items in the regulations. They have looked at such scenarios, and they have only implemented what you can call like big machinery. Even if you look at what those HS codes that NEMA has forwarded to KRA are only for big items, like automobiles, like machinery. So small little things like airtime, like the needles you talk about. We even had a scenario with SIM cards, bulbs. Those ones, in the meantime, NEMA has not implemented. I think they will discuss more with stakeholders, and so that they can find a way. I think those ones will come under the packaging. But for now, don't worry that this 150 will affect the price of needles. It has not been implemented. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Jeremiah. I'm seeing also there was another hand up. Was it Alan Gichohi? Alan, you had raised your hand. I've unmuted you. Okay. So I think we will proceed to. Will Caroline? Yes. So I'll unmute Caroline. Caroline, please speak. Unmute yourself and speak. Oh yeah, Alan, please proceed.
Yes. It's good that you have mentioned that NEMA considers the low value items with excess quantities. Just from looking at some of the calculations, it would resort to just like maybe 10,000% increase in the price of some of the goods that we have been importing, effectively running us out of business, which I would believe that would not be the intention. Now, I just wanted to re-emphasize that, but also, given that you are saying that there are considerations that are ongoing, then how do we bypass this in the meantime? How do we bypass this in the meantime, given that? Number two, which is very important, this law takes effect from 14th of March, isn't it? Or the specific date. There were those talks that the IDF had been done earlier on, meaning that they were already in transit to Kenya. Therefore, under international customs, they are protected by what we call the grandfather clause. Anything in transit before a law comes in, we cannot apply the law retrogressively. So what we are finding is that when we are trying to currently do the clearance, it's taking a lot of time for the NEMA team to respond to us, and therefore increasing the total lead time and demurrage when we are doing this process. So that is something that we need to quickly address and have a team that is more responsive, so that this new regulation does not hinder business.
Thank you. Caroline, you can go next. Unmute yourself.
It's Caroline, not Caroline, sorry.
Caroline, sorry. Caroline. Andrew, kindly unmute yourself and proceed. Andrew will be our last, and then we'll go to the questions on the chat.
Okay, thank you very much. My name is Andrew Kamano from Rome Electric. I wanted to find out, because when doing the permit, we have to attach an IDF. And my concern is, when you mention about the electronics, we are doing electric motorcycles, and our IDFs are quite bulky in the number of items per IDF. And we are seeing a challenge where we can't upload a large IDF to get an EPR permit. So what?
Andrew, we can't hear you. Kindly come again. Did he? Andrew, we can't hear you. Ask Joseph to kindly, I'm sure Andrew had already at least gave an indication on what the question is asking. So maybe Joseph, you can respond to that. And then, and also the earlier question.
Yes, the earlier question from the gentleman who asked about the IDFs that are already in transit or the consignment already in transit. Yeah, NEMA is doing that one. Those ones will not be affected. Of course, you won't have to do an EPR permit. However, at the point of clearance, there are what we call holds. The system will ask that the NEMA release the hold. So for that, NEMA usually sends an email to the KRS stations for that to be done, and then the consignments are cleared. So that one is outside the system. It's a manual process. However, he raised about efficiency on the NEMA side. So I cannot comment on NEMA when they are here. Let them answer that. Let them respond to stakeholders on why they probably are not sorting that early enough. But as KenTrade, we try to push them to ensure that all these requests are done as soon as possible, because I mean, trade delays equals losses, demurrage, and many other negative consequences. So I think, Aisha, you can respond to the issue of delays. On the other issue of the IDFs that are bulky, that have many other items. Now, on TFP, you won't feel anything. TFP will only pull IDF details. All the details you've done on the IDF, when you come to TFP, they'll automatically populate. And so even if your IDF had 1,000 items, if you're coming to, if only a few items needed EPR, those are the only items that will be uploaded on TFP. So you won't have to do EPR for everything. EPR is only for those items that NEMA is targeting. But for electronics, I know it's everything. For electronics, I know it's everything. So those ones, once you do the IDF, you will automatically find them on TFP. So the key work, a lot of work is on the IDF, but IDF is done by your agent. On TFP, there's now much work to do. It's only an attachment and for you to pay. So thank you. I think maybe responded to those ones. The others are related more to NEMA. Thank you.
Yes, thank you. Thank you, Joseph. Aisha, please you can pick up some of the questions that have been raised by members.
Okay, to begin with the issue on hold for the IDFs that have been launched before the 14th of to us specifically to do an email to us with the IDF of the consignment that is being held, and that the IDF was done before 14th of March. You should send an email to epr@nema.go.ke, and please make sure to copy KRA on the email so that when we are responding, the KRA would get our response to. NEMA will respond with a letter, and such kinds of consignments the holds would be lifted for those kinds of consignments. And regarding the issue of reviews, we have noted your concern, and we have a good number of reviewers. We have around 50 reviewers currently, and we are getting actually more today. And I will assure you, I am assuring you that there will be no more delays on the approval of the permits. Thank you. Which was the other issue? I got those two.
Maybe just there is a question. There are some question on the chat. At NEMA, consider exemption for the first two consignment of the new startups, similar on how KEB does the PVO exemption, limited to shipment for new startups. So is that a question you?
Yeah.
Isha?
Yeah, currently the EPR regulations of 2024, the regulation has no objection, no exemption for any product. So every product that is listed in the first schedule is subjected to the EPR regulation. And NEMA is currently implementing the regulation as it is. And for importers or producers who have some issues and some proposals, NEMA is open to receiving proposals from you. You can write to the Director General, who is Dr. Mamo B. Mamo. You can write directly to him, explaining your situation, and submit your proposals on how you would like your product to be charged or handled. So currently, there's no exemption in the regulation, and we are implementing it as it is. So if anyone has proposals, just write to NEMA, and NEMA will respond to it, and your proposals will be put to consideration. Thank you.
Thank you, Aisha. Just to reemphasize on that as well, we note it's more on assisted compliance, and NEMA is here also. And being that it's something that is starting, there are challenges that come with it. And so we, as EPROK, we've also engaged our members just on the same to share some of the real data on how maybe the importation could affect them, noting that the HS codes, and also there's a bit of per product, yeah. So those different challenges, if they're able to share with us, we're engaging with NEMA so that overall, as they implement this, we're able to see that at least the businesses remain to be sustainable, particularly if the issue of you're bringing a PIN. Those are some of the things that were addressed. But overall, we understand as they implement EPR, those challenges that are there, if members are able to share with us, then we are able to address them collectively to NEMA, and then they're able to find a solution to that. So we are open, and again, as EPROK, we'll continue to advocate to some of the issues that might come into, that might need NEMA attention in regards to EPR implementation. As noted, it's more on assisted compliance. And at this point, I don't know if Alan, is that your old hand or is the recent hand? Maybe it'll be our last person, and then from there we'll kindly.
Thank you for that. I'm just saying that that issue that of the need, just to refer it as that, needs to be quickly addressed, because as issues are being sorted, business is continuing. So we need to have a direction maybe within the next 2 or 3 days, so that there's no ambiguity in that process that can lead to non-compliance or something like that.
Thank you. That is noted. That one will be handled more professionally and also considering time bound. So that is noted. Moses? Moses, please proceed.
Okay, good morning. I have a question to the panel. For those people who are importing solar panels, or rather solar modules, which I believe falls on category 3, if you could give us a step-by-step on what is required of them in terms of EPR compliance from importing, operations, and possible decommissioning of such plants. I just want to get an understanding of how this group of people should comply. Thank you.
Thank you, Moses. Thank you, Moses. I'm sure, Aisha, you're able to pick up that, and then once you're done, we can proceed to close the session. But again, this is not the last one. Still, you're going to organize more of this, just to ensure that our members are made aware of the new engagement that come about in regards to the implementation of this EPR regulation. So Moses, still will get in touch, even if we don't answer your question exclusively. Please, still you are there, and on one-on-one basis, we'll always reach out. Also, again, you can reach out to EPROK, and we'll be able to assist and also answer any query that might arise on your end. So Aisha, maybe partly you could step in and answer both. That is Moses. And then we can pick it up from there to close the session.
So for solar panels fall on category 3 of the categories of the products set out in the first schedule of the EPR regulation. And as I mentioned earlier, for category 3, and especially for category 3 and 4, per item is charged by standalone units. So 150 per item. One item is 150 shillings for items that are for products that are on category 3. And the other question is an importer of solar panels is a producer. As I mentioned earlier, an importer is a producer and is subjected to the EPR regulation. And as an importer, since you are a producer, you have to apply and be registered by NEMA as a producer and receive your producer registration certificate. And the producer has to execute the 10 obligations set out in the EPR regulation. And this importer, who is also a producer, can execute these obligations either individually or collectively through a PRO. So maybe you can join EPROK, and they can guide you further on how they will execute your obligations. Thank you.
Thank you, Aisha. Yeah, thank you for that. John, please take over.
So thank you. First of all, let me just thank each and everyone for joining this session today. It was just a brief to let you know what the regulations entail and what are your obligations. So we are still open for this engagement, just to take you through to understand what are your obligation in regards to EPR regulation. EPROK, we are there to support you manage your post-consumer e-waste, and we are also here one call away in regards to the EPR regulations. So in case you need any query, in case you need any assistance in that regard, always reach out to us. Thank you, KenTrade, for coming through just to sensitize members on how to onboard on the National Electronic Single Window Use System. Also, NEMA, Aisha, thank you so much. You've been always instrumental just to ensure that anytime we reaching out, you're always there to come and sensitize members. So at this time, I'll request EMAK, that is Elijah, who's also still in the call, or any representative from EMAK. Elijah, you're there? Okay. So at this time, allow me to invite our board, who was also present. I know there are many here, but we'll also have our board just to give us a closing remark. And again, we really appreciate you being here. Thank you so much. Kenneth, please, the time is yours.
Sure, thank you. My name is Ken. Allow me to speak briefly in my dual capacity as a board member and also as a representative of Sun King, a committed member of EPROK. This is more of a call to action. The entire sector is at a critical point where, these frameworks and compliance requirements and policy direction from our government increase and shape how we operate and serve our customers. So EPROK essentially creates an organized environment where we're able to speak with one voice and allow engagement with the government constructively, lobby for enabling regulation, push back as well where policies, either risk innovation or affordability for our customers, and create a predictable operating environment. So my call to action is to encourage all members or all eligible organizations to join EPROK and participate actively as a strategic move to protect our businesses while we advance the sector as a whole. Thank you very much. Back to you, Chair.
Thank you so much, Ken. And for that, we'll be sharing the presentation as well as the session was recorded. And we'll also please continue sharing your feedback, and we'll also be at the end of the call, we'll get a feedback form for you to fill. And yeah, this is not the last one. We'll continue engaging until all of us, we are all aligned. And thank you so much. So at this point, allow me to close this session. Thank you.